are very few boats that can be defined as classic. Those that are, well, they're generally old, they're pretty, they have a good story to tell, and they're well loved. But looking ahead, which of the modern designs will achieve that status in the future? Today, the varnish and cotton sails of a century ago have been replaced with titanium and carbon fibre. New frontiers of luxury and speed are now within the designer's grasp. But which of the modern-day yachts will still be around in 100 years? And which will be revered in the way that the boats of 100 years ago are revered today? This month we're travelling to the Mediterranean to find an answer to one simple question. What makes a yacht classic? We'll hear from Sardinia and the Perini Navi Cup, where some of the world's most dramatic and luxurious yachts are locked in high-speed performance racing. Are these the classics of our age? And in an exclusive world first, I'll be taking the wheel of one of the two most talked about boats in the world right now. Will she go down in the history books as a classic? And I'll be in the glitz and glamour of the French Riviera at Val de Saint-Tropez, one of the world's truly classic yachting events, where the fleet ranges from some of the newest boats in the world to some of the oldest. This boat is Moonbeam IV. She's very lovely. She's nearly 100 years old and she was built in Scotland by William V. In 1950 she was bought by Prince Rainier of Monaco, who even used it for his honeymoon. She's a fantastic reminder of a golden era in yachting, but here she's just one of a glittering lineup in a spectacular sailing week. Celebrating its 10th anniversary, the Val de Saint-Tropez is the ultimate mix of ancient yachting tradition and modern boating luxury. The entries are split into two classes, traditional and modern. And I start the week at the historical end. It's a different world from the high-tech boats I've spent my life sailing on, but it's not necessarily any slower. I'm not quite used to such a traditional wheel, but it feels good, it's a big boat, but a lot of sail area. It's very powerful. There's not much wind, and we're still doing 10 knots. It feels nice, actually. Very nice. Moonbeam IV has been a racing classic ever since she was built in 1914. She won the King's Cup twice in 1920 and 1923, and she's a beautiful example of what top-class racing yachts looked like nearly 100 years ago. You look a very happy man steering Moonbeam IV.
Yes, I am.
Why is she so special?
I don't know, the smell, the wood, the varnish, the shapes, the lines, very pure of this boat are very nice lines. It's like a very nice car, a very nice woman. These sails does not exist after 1920, finished. This type of old shape of sails, it's like a cathedral. We need a lot of crew, we do all by hand, but it goes very fast, like the others. And we can race with the others, and they have a lot of new electrical, and we go at the same speed.
Moonbeam IV defines her age. She's a classic example of the super yacht of yesteryear, and she still fulfills the purpose for which she was built almost a century ago. She's a racing boat, and she still holds her own on the racetrack today. It's not just age that defines a classic. After all, every boat that was built 100 years ago is not given that distinction. And perhaps it's fair to say that you can earn your place in history. And there are a few boats here in Saint-Tropez that can stake a greater claim to that than these, the Penduic fleet. 6 boats that are as loved in France almost as much as the man who sailed them and inspired the nation's passion for offshore racing. Ex-naval officer Eric Tabarly was the godfather of French ocean racing. His legendary status came not only from his victories, but his range of constantly evolving yachts. Built to innovative designs that revolutionised boat-building techniques are now commonplace in the yachting world. His 6 Penduic yachts are a slice of sailing history. This is Penduic II. Well, she might not quite have the charm and beauty of Moonbeam IV, but she's a glorious example of sailing history. And Tabarly's innovation for the sport is evident throughout. Tabarly's influence on boat design was immense. So much of what we now expect as standard on yachts came from his unparalleled experience and inventive mind. In 1964, Eric Tabarly won the Transat race on board Penduic 2, beating Sir Francis Chichester, the first man ever to sail solo around the world. And for me, it's been a lovely privilege to sail on board her today. Well, for sure, Eric Tabarly was a pioneer within our sport. He was even the first man to sail solo with a spinnaker. I mean, very brave at the time. And his legacy and his fame, well, they continue even today. As for the boat, well, you could say that she defines an era in ocean racing. But does that make her a classic? Looking out across the fleet is like gazing down on the years of history. A full sailing evolution is here on show, from reminders of a bygone era to innovations that have shaped the course of development and brought us to where we are today. And that is here, the razor-sharp tip of contemporary design. This is a Wally, and I'm sure you'd agree it's not only stunning, but there's nothing quite like them on the water. Join me after the break when I'll be exploring whether it deserves the distinction of classic. Le Val de Saint-Tropez is one of the world's truly classic yachting regattas. In this edition of CNM Mainsail, we're asking just what does the word classic actually mean? Out on the water, there's history as far as the eye can see. But is it just age and tradition that makes a yacht classic? This ultra-modern yacht is a long way from historical. There are lots of boats in Saint-Tropez that are both head-turning and glamorous, but this one is particularly spectacular. She's a Wally. She's one of 11 racing this week. Very cool. I'm very excited. It just looks beautiful. It's so clean. It's almost spoiled by the crew. And actually, I could probably nearly sail it myself anyway. I can control the jib sheet, the main sheet here. Everything's just at my fingertips. Wally sit at the top table in the world of yacht design. And for the last 15 years, this Italian boat builder has been leading from the front in the style stakes. They're not just modern, they're back from the future. This is new, it's brave, it epitomises Italian design. Clean lines, uncluttered decks. It's beautiful. And the whole concept was masterminded by an Italian genius, Luca Pisani. And look, I remember the first time I ever saw a Wally. I mean, it was like something we'd never seen before.
Yes, it was 15 years ago. It was a revolutionary boat with carbon fiber, with completely different layout, different sail plan. And I think after 15 years we can say that that's all those ideas have been successful.
What was your thinking behind the concept?
My thinking was very simple. I just wanted to conceive a boat that could be at the same time faster and more fun, but also more comfortable.
I mean, at the time, 15 years ago, it was very futuristic. Do you think that look will hold the test of time?
I would say yes, because today I look at our first boats and they're still very modern, very contemporary. If you look at these boats being built in the same age, same years, they really look 20 or 30 years old.
In this programme we've been exploring, I suppose, what defines a classic and what will stand the test of time. In your opinion, what is a classic?
You know, a classic of today is a Wally of those days, because what you like today as a classic is an old racing boat, very clean, very nice and fast.
The classics we love so much, there's a great simplicity about them. I mean, they're driven by pure wind power and manhandling, whereas this is something else. It's driven, well, mostly by technology.
The Wallies of today are much simpler than the beautiful classics of yesterday, because you can tack and jibe without using so many crews on board. With our sail plan, as you have seen during the race, I mean, you can really tack and jibe without doing anything. So the classics that today you love so much are like the Wallies today.
Wally's angular, minimal lines capture a sense of our ordered modern culture. These utterly original design statements are very 21st century. But does this alone make the Wallies classic? There's little doubt that the Wallies are head-turners. But when it comes to modern yachts standing out from the crowd, there's only one candidate. At 288 feet, with 3 self-standing and rotating masts, hoisting a total of 15 sails, the Maltese Falcon was born a classic. She's one of the most influential and groundbreaking yachts the world has ever seen, and the flagship of luxury boat builders, Perini Navi.
Everything starting with Fabio Perini on 1980. So his idea was to create something different, something, I don't want to say more beautiful, but something special that we didn't have on the sailing yacht. When you're speaking about sailing yacht, you're speaking about the past. You look behind you. You never look forward. So we started with the idea to look something forward, not behind.
Staged at the Costa Smeralda Yacht Club in Portocervo, Sardinia, the Perini Navi Cup brings together 19 of the 46 Perini Navi yachts for a week of racing. So many of these luxury super yachts at sea, locked in battle in 30 knots of wind and more, is certainly a sight to behold.
I think I'd define the Perini fleet as in a transition from something that started off being unique, different, obviously it's well accepted by clients, and it's shifting a bit to being a standard or even classic style of boat. I think these boats are seen now as defining what's a performance-oriented sailing yacht.
The Perini Navis may be up at the pinnacle in yachting luxury, but these boats are frequently raced. Comfortable decks and plush interiors atop hulls designed for speed. But can the Perini Navis be called classic yachts? And if so, why?
If for classic we mean old, our boats are not old. But if for classic we mean beautiful, because classic sometimes is really beautiful, okay, I think that our boats are beautiful. The idea of classic is something which continue, that never finish. That's, for me, is the classic. Something that today is beautiful, tomorrow will be beautiful. Was beautiful, is beautiful, and will be beautiful.
A classic sailing yacht comes from a tradition, it comes from a kind of history, and it automatically relates to age. But I think the Perini fleet is re-establishing another area of classics. In some way, it's duplicating the kind of turn-of-the-century yachts that were owned by Rockefeller, Morgan, Lipton, these people. The economic circumstances of the world in the last 20 years has given this incredible boost to the yacht design and building industry. Because of the wealth that's been generated, a whole new group of yacht owners are creating boats that will not replace the old classic boats, but they'll be defining in another way a new set of classic yachts.
In a way, the Wallys and Perinis define our modern era. They're all about luxury and technology, design, performance, always in pursuit of the next new thing. Well, after the break, the boat that really is the next new thing, Alinghi V, will she become a classic of the future? Here in Saint-Tropez, you can almost feel the glamour in the air. It drips from every corner of this iconic town and this classic regatta, Le Val de Saint-Tropez. But it's not the only place in the Mediterranean with a vivid sense of style. Barcelona, Spain, a modern city with a rich maritime past. For centuries, this vibrant port has seen sailors come and go on long ocean voyages, and it's a tradition that continues today. Next year, the newest addition to the round-the-world racing circuit sets off for only the second time. The Barcelona World Race is the only non-stop round-the-world race for double-handed crews. Two-man teams fighting the world's oceans together.
The concept is fabulous because you can push the boat quite hard, and you can share your experience on everything you live on the boat with your mate. So I think that's a really great concept, and Barcelona is the ideal city for a start on an arrival.
It's going to become one of the classic races if it isn't already. It draws sailors from all disciplines: Olympic, America's Cup, from the IMOCA class and from the Volvo. So it's a sort of broad range of the very best sailors. So it's a fantastic event.
The 2010 edition starts in October next year, and all the sailors involved will be hoping to make the Barcelona World Race one of the classic races of the future. And elsewhere in the sailing world, there's been some other classic struggles this month. The 2009 European Summer Regatta season has come to an end, with both the Audi Med Cup circuit and the Extreme 40 iShares Cup reaching their climaxes in Spain. Emirates Team New Zealand have dominated the TP52 class and took the overall Med Cup title by a massive 74 points. While the GP42 class was won by Islas Canarias. After a close final event in Almeria, Mainsail's Masira won the iShares Cup in dramatic fashion, taking the title on the last leg of the last race and the last event of the season. In Weymouth and Portland in the UK, the sailing venue for the 2012 Olympic Games played host to the Scandia Sail for Gold Regatta, the biggest Olympic and Paralympic classes regatta that Great Britain has seen. In a wide variety of conditions, it was a good haul for the home nation, who picked up 9 medals and the overall ISAF World Cup. Winning an Olympics is extraordinarily special. I feel very fortunate to have done it twice. Both the memories and the accolade, they seem to last forever. Like me, I6 has an Olympic gold, won in 1928, and it's this result and its place in history that you could say promotes the boat to classic status. Racing pedigree counts for a great deal when the history books are opened, and for a boat built specifically to compete, perhaps the only way it can gain classic status is to win, especially when it's done in front of the eyes of the world. And what could be more centre stage than the 33rd America's Cup? It's an event with a long, rich and frequently controversial history that even today is the battleground for wealthy and powerful entrepreneurs. The Cup has been in the courts of New York for more than 2 years, but when it finally takes place next year, it will be a compelling battle. Both teams, the Americans and the defending Swiss, have built giant high-speed multi-hulls, and speculation is rife on their performance credentials. And I'm in Genoa to take up an amazing offer from Alinghi team owner Ernesto Bertarelli to sail on his new top-secret machine. Well, Ernesto has kept his word. I'm about to get on board Alinghi IV. There's never been a boat like her, and it's such a privilege. My plan is to try and be the first non-Alinghi team member to steer her. You kept your promise, Ernesto.
How are you doing?
Thank you very much. It's very exciting. I'm very excited, but I remember last time we met in Switzerland, you were also very excited. You knew what was in your shed, but you weren't telling me anything.
Well, you tried to trick me in telling you if it was a cat or a trimaran, and now you know it's a cat. We can talk about it.
You were trying to fob me off with all kinds of ideas then, even foilers. Why a catamaran? Why were you so confident this was the right thing?
Well, you know, we've been sailing multi-hull on Lake Geneva for 20 years, and we tried about everything. And we believe a cat is faster than a trimaran, obviously. More importantly, it's usually lighter, so at equal sail area, it should be faster. The weakness is that we don't know anything about it, because never built a boat this size, never sailed that hard a boat this size. So every day we learn more, and the weakness is that we don't have much time to February.
But there's no benchmark. I mean, when do you know that, well, it's all right, that it's fast enough?
Well, we got our friends following us all the time, so they must be getting a few indications.
BMW Oracle and the rib, just, yeah.
Yeah, we decided not to do that. We decided to concentrate on our boat, and basically, you know, there's so much that we can do to make it go faster and concentrate on what we need to do to be ready in February. That, yes, we don't have a benchmark. We just hope that we're going to be fastest out there comes February.
Can I have a go?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
It's too good a chance to pass up. But as I take the wheel, I can't help but feel slightly nervous.
You're doing 16 knots now, which is not bad.
There's not much wind. How much wind is there?
We might not say that. We might cut that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Or we put a little beep.
It's impressive anyway. I mean, it's not long now. There's, barely a few months. Do you feel under time pressure now?
Yeah, because as I said, there's a lot we don't know, and there's a lot of things we can do to make it go faster, a lot faster. And every day is important. Some days there's too much wind, we can go out. Some days there is no wind, we can go out. So all those days lost are days that we don't learn something. But so far so good. The boat is healthy, and so is the crew. So I think we have a good chance.
This 90-foot monster really is the absolute ultimate in racing yacht design. The Alinghi team have created a machine that is completely unique, and totally space age.
It's hard to know what to say. She's like nothing certainly I've ever been on before, nothing like any of the big cats. It's certainly in this century. It's monstrous. The power is incredible. You sort of feel she's like a caged beast just waiting to go. I can't wait till next February. Bring it on.
My next task is to try and get on board with the opposition and see how their design measures up. There's so much at stake, but one thing is for sure, one of these boats is going to win the 33rd America's Cup, but will either become a classic of the future. Back in Saint-Tropez, it's been an incredible few days sailing the hardware and delving inside this classic regatta. I've travelled nearly 100 years in history, from Moonbeam IV at the beginning of the last century to the Wally 130, very much part of the 21st.
We have seen some truly memorable boats in this month's show, but which of the modern designs are going to be the classics of 100 years sailing in Saint-Tropez harbour? It's a really tricky debate, and everyone has an opinion, but I personally think that perhaps none of them will. Of course, they're technologically groundbreaking, the designs are spectacular, and some of them even have an interesting history. But who will want to preserve a boat that's past its sell-by date? And will a boat that's brimming with technology not just be seen as perhaps outdated and old-fashioned? I have a feeling that in 100 years' time, it will still be the gleaming varnish of boats like Moonbeam IV that are still the classics. Because they're simple, because they use human power and wind power and not technology. And that's what makes them timeless. And perhaps even the word classic belongs to an era that's long gone.
Join us next month when we'll be in Korea to see who will be crowned the ISAF Rolex 2009 World Sailors of the Year. It's the biggest accolade in the sport.